The model I was talking about. And I would encourage you to use this as an overlay. This is a model where you should be looking and saying, where can we think about talent differently? How is work evolving at our firm where it will require us to have more options, from exchanging talent with partners to having an internal talent marketplace to looking at overlooked talent like the incarcerated, the military veterans? How about people with intellectual and developmental disabilities? Many firms have found that to be an incredible talent pool that is so underutilized right now. How about reimagining partnerships with universities and academia around certifications for skills of the future? What about automation? How does that configure into your plan right now of capability based upon work that needs to be done differently? Crowdsourcing and gig workers. I mean, you can go on and on and on. And one of the healthcare institutes that we work, a major health system in the United States, recently disaggregated all of their nursing roles, all of them, and found out that their nurses were spending 40% of their time on tactical work that could have been done by administrative folks, by retired people that their certifications are no longer eligible in, like inoculations, doing that. And their nurses were now able to focus on really high strategic work, and it became a game changer for them. So I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of all of these things. These allow you to think about, how do you become more strategic? How do we align with the 5 core areas of market strategy, talent, leadership, and culture? What questions do we ask and should be asking on a regular basis to get ahead of that? And then what actions can make the biggest difference as we go forward? So Adil, I'll turn things over to you, but these are the things that we know high performance HR organizations use to help shape the future vision of their organization.
So Kevin, as you know, that we started with a passion and clear vision to make HR professionals strategic. That's the story of Bullseye Engagement and life of Bullseye Engagement, is we want HR professionals to move away from transactional 8 hours a day or 6 hours a day to, as General Rochelle would say, that we want HR professionals to become strategic, to gain altitude, and look at from a strategic perspective. And that's where we have brought in leadership business intelligence dashboards, where the transactional stuff is out and they can look at meaningful, actionable areas, and those dots that you have so eloquently brought forward in several areas. I mean, it's eye-opening when you say that 80% of the population surveyed says that, you know, it's important for them to say, how do I work? Where do I work? You know, that's the top when it comes to stay and retention, because it's a hybrid and remote workforce today. That genie is out of the bottle, and you're not going to put it back in there. I heard a podcast where somebody said, maybe a little bit too early, that the commercial real estate or the skyscrapers out there are going to be 21st century pyramids, because people, he suggests that we should change those into residential areas. So if you were to give advice to not only HR professionals, but the leaders out there today, because there is that thought process that has been there for forever. The FaceTime, people walking through the office corridors, and you know, CEOs and CFOs and CHROs would love to see those cubicles populated and people in front of their screens. How relevant is that anymore?
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. We just closed a major study or excuse me, we're closing one on Friday of this week. Sorry for getting it conflated, but we just did a major study with Fortune magazine called The Talent Imperative, but it's the third study that we've done the last 12 months on hybrid work and the new work models. And it's just, you know, who knows, Adil? I mean, everything, if we've learned anything, nothing's predictable anymore. But what we have to reflect on is this. One of the trends that we had seen for 10 years as a firm, and the pandemic accelerated it and brought it to the point where most everyone's acknowledging it right now, is worker demand of all generations for control, choice, and flexibility. We had seen it for 10 years. Some companies recognized it and got ahead, like Dell Corporation, which in 2010 built their own working flexibly strategy for this very, very reason. They were way ahead of the game. But others are still in denial right now, where they're saying, you know what, we're going to, you know, we need you in the office, work gets done at work, et cetera. And honestly, here's one of the things that we have found with our research is that flexibility, it will be a proxy going forward on whether you can retain and attract the talent that you want, period. And the more flexibility you can offer, the better. But it's flexibility with intentionality. It's not the Wild West. It's not just letting anyone do whatever they want, whenever they want, et cetera, without constraints. There's got to be intentionality there. And we believe very much when it comes to the office space, you might be right. Maybe it is going to be residential. What we see right now happening is organizations are really thinking about the intentional use of a facility and the right way to do it. So if you think about, you know, one of the biggest concerns that's raised up to the board level right now that we hear from board directors is from senior leaders saying, we're just really concerned that that sense of connection and relationships across our organization are not going to be there, especially for the new workers coming in. You know, what's not true is this. So I had the CEO, I was on the phone with the CEO of a major retailer a little while ago who said, I'm just really concerned because we built a new headquarters right before the pandemic. How are new employees going to get a feel for our culture if they're not able to experience our new workplace? And my advice to that CEO was, your culture isn't a building. Your culture is what they experience, and you're going to drive that experience. So either you are going to embrace this new way of work, and you need to or not. It's your choice. But from an office standpoint, it doesn't mean your office is irrelevant anymore. It just means make it intentional. When you bring people back to the office, don't bring them back so they're sitting there just answering emails all day long. Bring them back to celebrate something. Bring them back to experience something as a team. Bring them back to broker core relationships with others that you know need to work on a cross-business project team where trust and relationships are going to be critical. Bring them back to do that for a little bit, and then let them go back to where they were. And I think that really resonated with that person. So I don't know if that helped, you know, provide additional commentary or clarity on what you asked, Adil, but that's just what came to mind.
Couldn't agree with you more.